Hi there, my name is Connor and I'm going to be making some coffee while we discuss, does Starbucks actually make good coffee? Let's find out. I'm going to be making a caramel macchiato, a hot chocolate and also a cappuccino, all made how they would be at Starbucks. Well, with a little bit of a twist so that I like it a little bit more, but I'm going to tell you how they make it because if you don't know, I actually worked at Starbucks for 4 years. So let's get into it. We're going to start with the caramel macchiato. Let me just grind up some beans. A second. So, I'm using caramel syrup for a caramel macchiato. You actually need to use vanilla syrup for a caramel macchiato if you were making it at Starbucks, but I always thought that was dumb and I don't have any vanilla syrup, so we're going to use caramel, but it would be vanilla if you were getting one there. I'm just going to add about this much. This size here is similar to what you would get if you were ordering a tall at Starbucks. The tall is about 12 ounces, and for that you would use 3 pumps of vanilla syrup, which is equivalent to about 15 milliliters of syrup. I think 1 pump is 5 mil. I never measured it, but I think they say 5 mil on the tube, so we're gonna go with 15 mil, which is roughly this much. So what's the coffee like at Starbucks? Well, you may not know this, but Starbucks is actually considered specialty. You see, coffee has a point scoring system, something like 1 to 100, but 1 to 60, you don't really see that range. I mean, you just wouldn't be drinking it. 60 to 70 is more commercial. You're going to be buying instant coffees that are made with this grade of coffee. And then speciality is 80 plus. 70 to 80, in between range, meh coffee, doesn't matter. But we're talking about 80 plus, and Starbucks coffee grades at 80. Now, what does this mean? Well, it means a specialty. It's just as good, or has the potential to be just as good, as a lot of cafes that are probably serving coffee in your area. But why isn't it? Well, if you've ever actually looked at the beans that Starbucks stocks in their hoppers, they are so dark and oily. This is because they roast them super dark. So they have a very bitter, harsh flavor. But why is that? Well, it's more consistent. You know, if you roast it to that point every time, it's gonna taste that way every time. And it's also a lot of the time meant to be paired with milk. And the darker you roast something, the more chocolatey, nutty, caramelly notes that come out, which pairs better with milk. You're not really trying to roast coffee for Starbucks that is going to benefit espressos or black drinks, which is why if you have one of those when you go to Starbucks, it is unbelievably bitter. But it still has potential, of course. You know, if you've got a good barista, which I do consider myself, and they're putting a lot of effort into the coffee, it can still be pretty good. But the thing is, it's a minimum wage job. So you've got minimum wage job, people that aren't trained as well, you've got coffee that's roasted quite dark. There's a lot of factors already going against you that you have to combat to get a good coffee, which is why they have an unbelievable amount of sugary drinks. They have a range of syrups, which is absolutely insane. But when you have one of these drinks that is combined with all these delicious things, I cannot lie, it's really nice. It's not something that you can drink every day. You know, this here is gonna have what? 15 ml of syrup, double shot of espresso, 250 ml of milk with caramel drizzle on top. You're looking at like 400-500 calories just for that one drink. It's a dessert, it's not a coffee. You know, if you wanna drink something every day, have a black coffee. If you want a dessert, have a caramel macchiato. Espresso is good for digestion as well, so that actually is a tip. Let's steam the milk up for it. Now, caramel macchiato is actually one of my favorite drinks while I was working at Starbucks. It is delicious, I'm not gonna lie. But when I started working at Starbucks, I was having these sort of drinks every single day. And after 2 years, I went to the dentist and my teeth were absolutely battered. I had to get 8 fillings in one session and it was horrendous, so don't do that. And if you're gonna get black coffee, you can make good black coffee at home. You should probably start picking up a V60 or something like this, and you can make some really decent black coffee at home. Obviously, if you want a sugary drink, there's no problem going to a place like Starbucks. Oh, this milk smells good. But in general, is the coffee good? No, it isn't. It has the potential to be, but they roast it super dark because, yeah, they want consistency more than they want to maximize the potential of the coffee. And then you're, you know, employing people at a bare minimum who it's unreliable whether they're going to care a lot about the drinks they're making or not. Finishing a caramel macchiato. This is caramel drizzle. This is what they use there. They have like these big plastic tubes full of caramel drizzle. They'll snip the end, put it into a squeezy bottle. It's basically the same stuff as this, so you can make this quite easily at home if you have an espresso machine, of course. And this is how they would do it. Caramel drizzle is going to go 2 rings around the outside, and then you're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And that is exactly how it should look on top. Now why? Well, think about it this way. If you're teaching people to do 2 rings, 7 up, 7 down, and they're doing it almost identically every time, you're going to use almost the identical amount of caramel drizzle every time, because to actually get it fluid enough to move it, you can't squeeze it too hard or too lightly. So you're almost guaranteeing that the drink is going to be the same every single time, which is very important for a big chain. But how does this one taste? Obviously amazing and obviously better than Starbucks. Make it at home. So do I shun people that go to Starbucks? Yes. No, my family still goes to Starbucks. People I know still go to Starbucks. And it's fine, but it's just expensive. It's expensive and it's not as good as other things. If you're going to go there, it should be a treat. If you're looking for coffee every day, either start making it at home or find a local cafe. You know, support local businesses. It's really important. They have plenty of money. And I don't even want to talk about the legal issues with Starbucks in the UK. Something about tax, I don't know. I'm not bothered about that sort of stuff. I don't know enough about it, so look it up yourself if you're bothered. We are going to be making a traditional cappuccino. I mean, I say traditional, this is the Starbucks way of making a cappuccino. So when you're employed there, you have to do barista training and you get signed off by the manager when you're complete with your barista training. They'll give you a sort of like a test. I don't know if they do this everywhere, but they definitely did this at the one that I worked at. And essentially there's a big book, I think it's called the Siren's Eye. The siren is the logo if you don't know that. And it has all the recipes for every drink, how much you should steam the milk, how much syrup you should use for each size, how many shots need to go in particular drinks. Some things that might be different, for example, are a latte, its shots will go 1 in the short, 2 in the tall, 2 in the grande, 3 in the venti. Whereas for an Americano, it will go 1 in the short, 2 in the tall, 3 in the grande, 4 for the venti. So the shots can change depending on the drink. So actually, with that in mind, if you are looking to get the most coffee possible, you want a big coffee and you don't know what to order, get a large Americano with some room for milk if you want milk, or black if you want it black. You're going to get 4 shots, which is going to be more than if you ordered a latte. So in that Siren's Eye, it states that basically any drink except the cappuccino you want to steam for 2 seconds. Obviously not steam it for 2 seconds because it would be stone cold and have no texture, but you want to aerate it for 2 seconds. So that's the noise that happens when we pull the jug down and it goes tss, tss. It's like tearing paper is how they describe it. You want to do that for 2 seconds, and that's for pretty much any drink. Toffee nut latte, gingerbread latte, eggnog latte, mocha, hot chocolate, every single drink like that, it's 2 seconds. But how much for a cappuccino? Well, they make their cappuccinos more traditional, so it's 8 seconds. You want to really froth it up so it's more traditional. So that's what we're going to do. Perfect. All these drinks that I'm doing, by the way, are having double shots. I'm making them all as if they were the tall size at Starbucks, which is always 2 shots, I'm pretty sure, unless they've changed it. Now we're going to tear it for 8 seconds, so count with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then that noise goes. You just want to spin it as normal now and turn it off when it gets to 55 degrees. I know that the steam ones there are automatic, so they will stop you at a specific point. I can't remember exactly what it is now. I think it might be 57 degrees for the standard heat, and then you can make it extra hot, which goes to 63. I think that's what they do. But you can even take it to manual mode as well. The one I used to have, if you pulled it down all the way, it went automatically to 57 degrees. If you press the plus button next to it, it would go extra hot automatically. And if you only pulled it halfway down, it goes to manual mode, and you can sort of make it extra hot, which some people like. But what are the drink standards for this cappuccino? Right, if you can see that here, that is full of foam. Now most drinks, they actually just tell you they want a dot on top. So latte, they want a dot on top. It shows that the milk texture's right because you'll have poured a lot of the liquid, and then right at the end will be the foam, which will fall on top and create a dot. And that just shows the consistency with it. With a cappuccino, they want a white top. So that's, showing that they want that foam essentially. So I think I've got a little bit too much milk here. What you can do is with a whisk, hold back the foam. Should show you over here actually, really, shouldn't I? Hold back the foam like this and pour a little bit of that milk away. And you can actually then pour it like this. If you leave it to set a little bit as well, what happens is when you steam it, it whirlpools and mixes together. If you leave it to settle, then all the foam will rise to the top. And then if you pour it sideways, the liquid will come out first and then the foam after. And by doing that, I can get that super fluffy white top. It's not perfect, but it would be if it was in a takeaway cup, I promise. As for chocolate and things, they have that all on the side for you. They've got like vanilla powder, cinnamon powder, chocolate powder, whatever you want. But if you're doing it traditionally, use chocolate powder. Mine has run out, but let's bang some out of here. There we go. Perfect. And here we have a traditional Starbucks cappuccino. Let's give it a try. It's okay. I don't really like cappuccinos that much, to be honest with you. Obviously the caramel macchiato was a bit more enjoyable, but I can't finish that. Now let's move on to the hot chocolate. I am making a right mess behind here. And you can see because of the latte art cam. Right, hot chocolate. Now, the hot chocolate at Starbucks, if I'm honest with you, it sucks. Like, it's really bad. The quality of ingredients is not good. Like, what you have to remember with Starbucks is they've gotten to the point now where they are so big that they can make all of the ingredients in-house. They can have their own production line for each ingredient, and it's more worth it to them because they have so many stores. They're just making the stores buy the products off of Starbucks. So they franchise stores out, those stores buy the products off Starbucks and then give a portion of their products back to Starbucks. It's genius really, isn't it? But it lowers the quality, and that is especially known with the hot chocolate. It is terrible quality. But if you make it exactly the same with a good chocolate, then the quality is decent. And it's actually not a bad recipe. So let me show you how. I'm gonna pre-mix some in here. I was almost gonna grind this, but I don't need it because it's hot chocolate. So I'm gonna use some hot water. Fill the cup up a smidge. That's my smidge. If you want to weigh this out and do it at home properly, you want equal parts chocolate powder and water. But I'm just going to eyeball it because I've done this plenty of times. So we're going to put in, it's about 25 ml of water, and I'm just going to match that with chocolate powder. Now this is what they'll do at Starbucks, but in a large quantity. They'll have this like metal 5-litre tub, and they'll make up an entire tub of it. Sometimes 2 tubs for the day, depending on how busy they are. And yeah, they'll just use that all throughout the day. I think it lasts 12 hours. So if you are a 24-hour one, you have to keep an eye on that. Everything is dated though. They have very good systems for that. I can't fault the hygiene of Starbucks. I mean, places like Starbucks, McDonald's, they can't afford to have any hygiene slip up. So they're always quite on top of these things. But one thing we used to do at the one that I worked at specifically is as an initiation for new baristas, we would make them, when we were throwing away a tub of mocha sauce, if it was like half full or something, you have to get rid of it because it's been out of the fridge. We would make the new baristas dunk their hand in the mocha sauce, and it was really weird. Really, really weird. And I will not tell you what store that was because I do not want to get in trouble, but yeah, fun times. Obviously we discarded it immediately afterwards, but yeah, that's the barista initiation of dunking your hand in the mocha sauce. Okay, this is a pretty good thickness. I'll show you now. Like that. You can go a little bit more viscous, but it's a little bit harder to do latte art when it's super thick, so that's good for me. Another thing I forgot to mention about Starbucks is that jug there, I reused it. Obviously, that's bad practice anywhere that you work, but specifically at Starbucks, it's written in the rules of learning how to be a barista. You cannot do that. You have to rinse out the jug after every single use. There are also specific jugs for every milk to separate things. So, like I said, I can't fault their hygiene. I can fault their drink standards though. This is how they would make a hot chocolate and it would be terrible. I'm making it exactly the same with better quality ingredients. This is just 50% dark chocolate powder made of literally pure cocoa and coconut blossom sugar, and it is going to be infinitely better. Let's show you. So for this, I've got a little bit too much milk again. And now I see everyone saying I'm a little bit of a milk waster. I'm sorry, I'm trying to learn, but I make mistakes sometimes, and you know, they're just on show for everybody, so just relax about it. I'm trying, I promise. I don't want to waste milk. Okay, here we go. Oof. Oof. Okay, this is beautiful. Wow, voila. Hot chocolate. Let's give it a taste. That is absolutely delicious, I'm not gonna lie. That is so freaking good, and I am gonna finish this one because it is so nice. And it's later in the day, so I don't want to drink too much coffee. So what are my thoughts on Starbucks coffee? It has a lot of potential, and I think if everything goes right, despite the fact that it's roasted so dark, if every single step goes right, the barista really cares, the coffee is dialed in, you know, if everything's perfect, you can get a good coffee. But how often does that happen? Not very. Go to your local cafe. Bye-bye for now. I've got so much freaking milk on my mustache and chocolate. Bye!